Brett Musburger. You are looking live at Shador Sanders on the practice field right now, where ESPN is covering the joint practices involving the Browns and the Eagles. Shedeur, who of course sort of set the conversation on fire Friday night with a really good performance in his first preseason game. Then Lewis woke up still fourth on the depth chart on Monday, so we get just a quick look at him there. Just a quick thought here on what they'll need to see from him for him to move up on that depth chart. Lewis.
Yeah, just more consistency, Greeny, more ability to not put the offense in bad situations, delivering the football accurately, and a couple wild plays. You always have to leave coaches every time they walk off the field, every practice, with something to think about in a positive way. He's done that so far, clearly. He needs to continue. All
right, so Harry is here to do That Boy Bad. And before we do this week's edition of That Boy question, Peter, should the Browns start Shador Sanders in their second preseason game?
If Dillon Gabriel is healthy and ready to play, I think we need to see him. The Browns obviously believe in Dillon Gabriel and see something in Dillon Gabriel, because every depth chart they've put out, Dillon Gabriel is still above Shador Sanders. Now, he's been injured, but there's a possibility he could play Saturday. We'll get updates throughout the week. But let's see what else is out there that the Browns are seeing that we have not, because I think objectively we all saw Shador Sanders, and he looked like he played the role pretty well, and yet he's fourth in the depth chart under Dillon Gabriel.
So that preseason game will be against the Eagles, but the Browns and the Eagles are having these joint scrimmages, joint practices this week, and our Sal Palantonio, who was with us earlier, is back with us as he's covering those. We talked about the Eagles earlier. Let's talk about the Browns here. Sal, what are you hearing as you were there with them from the Browns about what we all thought was a very impressive preseason debut for Shedeur?
Well, Michael, last night in South Philadelphia, I caught up with Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. As everybody knows, Kevin Stefanski, his family, Wayne, PA. He went to St. Joe's Preps. He went to the University of Pennsylvania. He's a local guy. He took his coaching staff out to dinner at the 9th Street Market. Here's a photo of the coaching staff after dinner. And I think I texted him right in the middle of the cannoli serving at dessert, because I texted him, I said, what did you think of Shador Sanders in his first preseason performance? And here was his text reply. Let's put it up on the screen. I want people to pay attention to two things that he says here. He did a good job operating, taking what's there, and made some plays with his feet too. Keep progressing, exclamation points. Two things there, very important, Michael. He did a good job operating. Translation, he looked in control. He did not turn the football over. Keep progressing. If you watch him on the All 22, which I did after the game, he drifted in the pocket a little bit too much. That's going to be natural in his first preseason game. And he was off target with some of his throws. But still, 14 of 23 and 2 touchdown passes, 106.8 passer rating. I think they are impressed with Shador Sanders.
And yet, we all made a big deal here about their quarterback depth chart. He is still listed as fourth on it, despite the performance that had everybody talking. What, if anything, can you tell us about that?
Well, I think Peter is correct. I think they want to see more from Gabriel. He's been injured. We might see him out here today on the practice field at the NovaCare facility a little bit against the Philadelphia Eagles. But I get the sense from Stefanski and the Browns, they don't want to fool around with the depth chart based on one preseason performance yet. They've got Flacco. They've got Gabriel. Obviously, they've got Kenny Pickett. He hasn't been able to get on the field because of a hamstring injury. And Shador Sanders needs to, quote, keep progressing. Now, I know, Lewis is always in game shape, but I'm sure he's been to Sarcone's Bakery during his time here in South Philadelphia. That's a favorite spot for everybody who comes to South Philly.
Sal, stay with us for part of the conversation here. Let's get to that, because, look, that is a piece of this. They've got 4 quarterbacks there right now.
Yep.
Teams don't keep 4 quarterbacks. That seems extremely unlikely, right? So some decision, they're going to have to start whittling this thing down. Like, it got late early on us here, right? The season's in 3 weeks. So while I understand they'll say we have plenty of time to make this decision, in actuality, it's not plenty of time. How quickly do they need to be figuring this stuff out?
Well, I think now, obviously, every rep takes on greater importance now because of just what you're talking about. Because eventually, the mode shifts from evaluation to really preparing for the regular season.
That's right.
So all those guys have to get the reps that are going to wind up playing. So I think now, again, behind the scenes, during practices, during these joint practices, would be great as if Getup was sitting there on the field and we could actually watch and see if he's starting to get sprinkled in certain situations with the ones, with the twos, getting reps with guys who are going to be there come September. Because that would tell you, okay, look, they sense the urgency too. They know that he's putting, the pressure on them as far as, hey, we need to really start moving him up this ladder. Look, one game, you obviously maybe don't want to make a bunch of sweeping decisions off of one game. It's on their mind. There's no doubt about it.
To your point, that's why we have Sal there. He will be seeing all that live, and you'll see his coverage all day long through all the shows here on ESPN. But what can you tell us, Peter, about what they're thinking there?
I think we all did flips over Friday night, and justifiably so. He was incredible. He looked great, and he led the team, and the swagger he had and the sideline reaction from both the star players and the backups was everything you'd want to see from a team leader. So we come in over the weekend and said, all right, Shedeur, he's in the mix. And yet, to a man, every source I speak to in Cleveland is like, all right, just slow down. Yes, he played well, but slow down. Like, let's not go overboard here, which to me tells me that there is some sort of hurdle or there is some sort of blockade here put in front of him in that QB1 role. And it might be Joe Flacco just being cemented already as a QB1, or it might be they believe Dillon Gabriel's still further along, even though Dillon Gabriel hasn't even been out there practicing because he's been injured. So to Sal's point, we might see Dillon Gabriel today. Let's see how the reps are split up. And I know everyone rolls their eyes. They also drafted Dillon Gabriel before him.
I think that's a key point right there, right? After one preseason game, look, there's a reason why you drafted one guy in the third and one guy in the fifth, because obviously organizationally you thought that this guy presented more upside than the guy you drafted in the fifth round. You think you're just going to throw in the towel after one preseason game? No, you're not going to do that. They have a personal investment in Dillon Gabriel. They haven't been able to see him on the football field yet. They're not going to just move him down the floor all of a sudden now. They're going to give him his shot. And then you hope that in the end, professionalism and the meritocracy does win out, and then if he deserves being moved up, then move him up. But you're right. You're absolutely right, Peter. They haven't seen him yet. So they're not going to knock him down yet, especially when they're the ones who picked him.
So I would also add this. Because of how Shedeur played in his first preseason game, and Dillon Gabriel did not get out there to showcase his skill set, it puts more pressure on Dillon Gabriel now.
No doubt.
To now go out there and make sure that you don't mess it up.
No doubt.
And you allow Shador Sanders to now jump you on the depth chart.
No doubt.
And I'll say when it comes to Shedeur, some of the things that I really loved in that first preseason game, Greeny, his pocket awareness and just being calm at all times. You see that second touchdown throw, hey, it's a free runner coming. Let me slide in the pocket, allow my running back to come over and pick up this blitz, but then ball placement. Having the ability to
Here it is right here.
Slide on over to the right a little bit. Now, look how that football is low. That allows a receiver not to get kill shotted by a safety in a tight window area throw that you have to be able to complete that pass.
Orlovsky did this tape for us the other day, exactly that. Everything he does on this play, Dan, I'll just recite it as best I can from memory. The way he moved was perfect. How quickly he still got rid of the ball, stayed in position as a thrower with his eyes downfield, and then exactly the ball placement, hips or lower, to give his receiver the chance. And loved that play.
Because a lot of people knock Shador Sanders not being as athletic as Cam Ward or Jackson Dart. Showcasing 3rd and 9. Let me scramble, go pick up 10 yards.
See, what was interesting is that text that Sal put up that we put up on the screen for Sal from Kevin Stefanski. He said, look, he made plays with his legs, almost like he was surprised. It was amazing because he showed that plenty of times at Colorado. Like, you would think, based upon some of the narrative surrounding him, that this guy was like some kind of like iron deer out there and he was just planted in the ground all the time in Colorado, and that wasn't the case. It's weird how narratives just take off and then people repeat them enough, you start thinking, Shador Sanders can't move.
Sal,
yes, he can.
Final word from Sal, who again will be there watching the joint practices all day long. Go ahead, Sal.
Michael, real quick, to Lewis's point, every day, every rep is important. So what's happening today? Today, Shedeur Sanders and all the quarterbacks for the Browns go against Vic Fangio. And what we've seen from Vic Fangio in the practices and in the first game against the Bengals, he's mixing and matching his secondary right now, trying to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work. There are going to be a lot of different calls, a lot of different presentations to Shedeur Sanders, and all these